Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to a new episode of Bliss Tell. It's episode number 5 already. Okay, I'm trying to remember to sit still. So I'm going to try to make this week's episode a little bit quicker than last week because I think I almost reached 30 minutes. I think it might be a bit too long. Also, my wife says it's too long, but my wife has to look at me every day, so it's normal that she gets sick of watching me. Let's get on with it. Let's start. For the highlights of my past week, there were many. I had a pretty amazing week. Well, last week's video, I was was going a bit crazy, waiting for several things, and then after I recorded the video, the day after, all these things happened. Not all on the same day, but it was a pretty amazing weekend last week with my BookBub ad, which did so much better than I ever thought it would. It went at the water's edge, went all the way up to 259 in the Amazon US Kindle store, which blew my mind. I never thought it would go that high, so it did really well. Spent quite some time on number 1 in the lesbian romance chart, and it even went all the way up into the top 100 in Canada. So it was amazing. It was a very successful ad, and I hope I can do another one again soon. I might do one for French Kissing season 1 before season 3 is released. So I was very happy about that, and it was a bit of a coincidence that just around the time that I had the BookBub, It Takes Two came out. It actually came out on Saturday. It appeared first on Amazon on Saturday morning, and as I record this, it's number 1 in Les Romance in the UK and in the US. So I wasn't expecting this book to do this well because it's short, and it's a sequel. It can be read as a standalone, but the readers will enjoy it so much more when they've read At the Water's Edge. So it is actually a sequel. So it's doing very well, and so thank you all very, very much. Thank you to everyone on my launch team. I think in one of the previous videos I said that the percentage of people of a launch team that actually leave a review is about 30%. Well, my launch team, I said in Lesfic everything is different, and my launch team has come through for me. I think I have about between 60 and 70% of them have already left a review, and there's still time. The book only just came out a week ago, so. That was really great to see. They were all good reviews as well, so that was pretty amazing. So I'm very happy with how It Takes Two is doing. Very happy to have a new book out again, and I finally finished season 3 of French Kissing, because I'd planned to finish it last Saturday, but I was going completely crazy checking the ranking of At the Water's Edge. So, and then on Sunday I didn't want to write. I wasn't home, and then I tried again on Monday, but it didn't happen either. So I finally finished. I finished it on Tuesday. So I only had to write about 2,000 more words, the final chapter, and then I finished it, and I'm very happy with that. I was a little bit emotional because when I started this season, it's supposed to be the last season. So but my ladies, I'm very fond of them. They get into trouble, but it's trouble I give them. I'll miss them, and never say never. I might do a 4th season, but as I said on Facebook, it's written as it could be the last. It can. Everything finishes. There are no open arcs anymore at the end of the season. So we'll see. But let's assume it's the last season. So I'm very happy about that. And what else do I have? Well, I also got the edits back for Release the Stars, and getting, I think, the worst point of, like, in the cycle of a novel, you know, is the sorry, I'm not feeling very eloquent today, I have to say. I went to dinner last night and with a group of friends I hadn't seen in a while, and I drank too much beer. So I'm not feeling 100%. I don't know if you can tell. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so the worst step in the cycle of a novel as a writer is when you get the edits back from the editor and you go over them for the first time. I said to my wife, it's like being slapped in the face like a million times, like, oh, because, you know, it's like a whole bunch of red in the document, and it does not feel good. But after that, you know, you can only go up. So you know, identify the problems and then work on them. But that first time opening an edited Word document, that's rough. That is really very rough, and that's the bit I hate the most about being a writer, you know, because, well, you know, your work is being criticized, and I know it's all for the better, it makes the book better, but it sucks. So you know, it's okay. I'm past that now. I've already written a few new scenes for Release the Stars, and I'm getting there. It will require a bit more work than I had planned. This book is requiring so much more. But anyway, it doesn't matter, because Caroline pointed out, because this is the book that I wrote in 11 days quite some time ago. I think it was in May. So she said, you know, you didn't spend a lot of time writing this book. You know, you can expect to spend a bit more time editing it. And she's right, you know. Don't tell her that, but she's right. So I'm on track with that, although I'm just gonna have to go back to my editor after I do the necessary things. So then she's gonna do another edit. So I've had to push the release date a little bit again, and it is now scheduled for release on the 21st of December. But this book is going to be out before the new year. That's my goal. And I think it's very doable. There's time, so I'll be working hard on that. So another very exciting thing is that I started plotting my spy novel. Wow, I mean, it's very preliminary, and when I refer to this book, when I say my spy novel, it's actually not my spy novel, because Carolyn and I are going to be working on it together. So she has a lot of great ideas, you know. She has a lot. Writing a thriller is very different than writing a romance. So I need some more outside input than I usually would get for a romance. So we've been coming up with some great ideas and discussing the character and the main character and her background, all of that. So I'm already getting very excited about that. And well, I'm only going to start writing that mid-December though, but we need to start thinking about it now. We need to do a lot more intricate plotting for this book, so it's very exciting. And well, speaking of spies, I went to see the new James Bond movie yesterday afternoon. I took the afternoon off and went to see it. It only came out yesterday in Hong Kong, and I was just been really dying to see it. I really enjoyed Skyfall, but this was not on the same level. I'm not going to give you a movie review, you know, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but let me just say, I enjoyed it, you know, but James Bond is always a little bit ridiculous. There was just maybe a little bit too much of that, and not enough Monica Bellucci, that's for sure. Why make such a fuss about having her in the movie if she's only going to be in 5 minutes, you know? But anyway, moving on. So those were my highlights of the week. It was a very good week for me. It was a bit stressful and, you know, taking a lot of energy, but recovered now, although I'm hungover. That's my own fault. So next week, I had planned to like really take a vacation and not do any work, but I can't do that now because I won't be done with Release the Stars today. I mean, it's not possible. So I'm going to try and carve out a few hours here and there. Next week, although my family will be here, they arrive tonight. Actually, they arrive at the airport around 5. So in a few hours, we're going to go over there, pick them up. It's very exciting. So next week, I won't be doing a lot of work, which is good because I could do with a holiday. Next week I will try to do an episode of Bliss Tell, but I'll do a Q&A because obviously I won't have any highlights of my week although I do hope to be sending Release the Stars back to my editor. That's my only goal for next week. So I'll do a Q&A show because I have quite a few questions that I have not replied to yet, questions that you've sent in. So next week I'll try to get through all of them, and just tell my family to go do something on their own for an hour, and I'll do that. So what else do we have? Questions. So several people asked the same question this week, and the question was, why did Caroline and I moved to Hong Kong? Which is a good question, which I should have maybe replied to already, but I didn't even think to do that. So we have been here for 5 years now, 5 years and a month. We arrived in October 2010, and we came here for Caroline's job. So 6 years ago we came here for the first time together. Caroline was working for a company that distribute baby products like pacifiers and bottles and plastic things like that, which were being manufactured in China, and the office of that factory, the owners of the factory are in Hong Kong, which is often the case. So she had to come to Hong Kong for work, once a year to discuss, to meet these people. And I said, I'll go with you. I'm intrigued. I want to see Hong Kong, so I came here with her. I enjoyed my time here a lot. I think we stayed about 10 days. It was something totally different. Hong Kong is very east meets west. It's the east, but it's very westernized. So you get a bit of both. There's so many expats here, so it's a fascinating place. I enjoyed it a lot. And then I went home. And then Caroline stayed here with her boss, and while I was home, her boss asked her if she would be up to moving to Hong Kong for work, to work better with the factories in China and the people they work with here. And we discussed it, and we said, why not? Let's do it. Let's have an adventure. At the time, we were also kind of looking to perhaps leave Belgium. I was sick of my job anyway, so I quit my job and I came here with Caroline, and she worked for that company about 3.5 more years until her then boss said, okay, well, we're not going to keep you in Hong Kong, so you can either come back to Belgium or if you want to stay in Hong Kong, you quit. And that's what she did. She quit her job, but by then we'd set up Ladylet, and Harper Bliss was doing better and better. And he said, well, let's do this crazy thing, let's write and publish books together. So that's what we've been doing since, and we're very happy to be doing this. We're very lucky as well to have had the opportunity to come here at first, under being sent here by her company. Otherwise we would never have done it. Might have gone somewhere else, I don't know. We had no plans, no specific plans, but we came here for her job, and that's a pretty good position to be in, because she had a job, a steady job, a steady paycheck, which is a good thing to have. So that's why we came here, and we're still here. We have been talking about perhaps moving away, but I can't say anything about that. It's just a thought. So we'll see about that. But Hong Kong is, if you're an expat, it's a good place to live, but there are, I mean, just like any other place, there are advantages and disadvantages. So yeah, well, for the time being, we'll stay here. We live on the island now, which is lovely. Very different from living in the city. We've moved. This is our fourth flat in 5 years, which is madness, I know. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I will do one other question today, and then next week I'll do the Q&A show. So Carrie asked, how do you clear your mind to focus on life outside of writing and to focus on your wife? It's a good question. Thank you for asking this question, Carrie. The really honest answer to that question, if I'm being really honest, would be I hardly ever clear my mind. And that's not to say I don't focus on my wife, but I talk, because we both work in the company. We both work for Leadlit. Plus Caroline, she's very involved with what I write. I mean, I send every day I write, she gets to read it almost immediately. We talk about it all the time. I mean, it's pretty selfish, I like to talk about my writing and, well, about myself as well, I guess. But the only way to do it, working together as a couple, is we need to leave the house for starters, because we just need to get out of our everyday surroundings, go hang out with friends and stuff like that. But it's difficult, So actually, you asking me this question makes me realize I should probably pay a bit more attention to that, because like this week, usually in the morning I'm here in my writing office in our flat. Then after lunch, or for lunch, I join my wife in the Ladylid office, which is not far from here, but we keep it separated because our flat is too small. Plus, it's good to keep a bit of a separation between home and work. But it's not like when we leave the office, like this week, because the weather's been so gorgeous. We've been going to the beach, just for a stroll and to, just to end the day. Go for a stroll on the beach and to theoretically leave work behind, but it doesn't happen, because then we started talking about the spy novel, for instance, and getting very excited, and I start whining about the edits for Release the Stars. I'm telling you, being the wife of a writer is not an easy thing. my wife has a very difficult job. But at least she's self-employed. She can take the afternoon off to go see Spectre. So maybe I should pay a little bit more attention to that. Thank you for the question, Carrie. So next week I'll be answering some more questions. So yeah, I also wanted to quickly say something about a book that I read, Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Eat, Pray, Love. So she wrote a book about the magic of creating art. And I am not a spiritual or religious person or anything like that at all. But I do, even though this can all be explained scientifically, I do believe that there is a certain magic to creating, because I'm a writer. I feel it sometimes, sometimes I'm writing stuff, I don't know where it came from, and when I think about it, I mean, I know where it came from, but there's just something about the process that's not what I wanted to talk about. I can definitely recommend the book, and I learned three valuable lessons from reading this book, so I thought I'd share those with you. I wrote them down. So the first one is, I thought she was very brave for saying this in her book, is that striving for perfection is a waste of time. I mean, as a general truth, I mean, it's true. But she talked about when she was writing one of her novels, and then several people who read it pointed out, there's this one character, and she doesn't really fit into the story. there were several people pointing out an issue with her book, and Elizabeth Gilbert said, I could have, spent another 6 months cutting this character from the book, and then maybe perhaps making the book, more perfect than it was, but I chose not to do it because, it was already good enough, and sometimes you have to be able to say it's good enough. So I thought that was a pretty good lesson, because we all want to strive for perfection, but it doesn't even exist, especially when you're writing a book. I mean, it's just so complex and so many things that I always think of like a million things I want to change about my books, but at a certain point you just have to say, okay, this is it. I'm happy with this. This is good. This is good for me. It's good enough. It doesn't mean it's not good, but I hope you know what I hope you know what I'm trying to say. So next lesson, and this one was particularly apt for me this week because I got edits back. It says when making art, check your ego at the door, because like when you get edits back, the reason why it hurts is because it's an ego thing. It's purely ego. It's it's because someone is saying, you need to change this, need to change this, and you think, oh fuck, sorry, I didn't mean to swear. I try to keep this swear free. Anyway, so it hurts your ego when someone says, this is what's wrong with that character, and so you need to be able to find a way to not be too to not let that get to you, and to say, okay, I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I'm really not feeling all too well. Anyway, when creating art, check your ego at the door, I think is really good advice. And then the last one is, and also really good advice, is approach your art lightly, because it's never a matter of life and death. And I mean, I recognize myself in this as well. I can, like, especially this week after getting edits back, I was like, oh God, and this book, and I have so much work, and but when you approach it differently, and much more lighter, as Elizabeth Gilbert suggests, then you're not gonna take it as hard. I mean, it needs to be fun. If it's not fun, then what's the point? I mean, if you're writing a book and it's not fun, is anyone else ever going to enjoy it? I think that's the underlying principle. So I will try to go by these three, to live by these three principles. To become to take things a bit more lightly. So. Yeah, I can definitely recommend the book. It's not just for writing. It's what she actually tries to do in this book is recommend to people to be creative, live a creative life. It can be anything, it can be gardening, can be knitting. I don't know, anything that's creative. So she says, follow your curiosity. So, like, for Caroline, for instance, she's very into yoga, not just because she has a crush on her yoga teacher, she tells me, but I wish this was a joke, but it's not a joke. So, she should, and, she does a lot of yoga, she's very interested in that. You need to have something like that in your life to just, be creative and playful with, and to just enjoy. So, yeah, check out the book. I also wanted to say that Sweat, my first mini anthology that I put together for Lady Lit, is now free everywhere. So if you like some sporty lesbian tales, you should check that out. Let me see, what else do I have? No, I don't have anything else. So I'm sorry for being a little bit disjointed in this video today. Next week hopefully will be better. We'll have had some time off. Send me your questions if you have any. I'll try to reply to them next week. And thank you for watching, and peace out.